Hello everyone, this is Judith Inside of Group 2. For our topic, we are going to tackle about defining one's spirituality. For our objective, we have define spiritual intelligence and spirituality, and two, discuss ways of living in the spirit. First, let's tackle about spiritual intelligence. Spiritual intelligence, according to Abdullah Zadeh 2002, it is about related to the relationship between man and the universe, the world of creature and existence in the world. So it also spiritual intelligence is all involve understanding your connection to something larger than yourself, appreciating the world around you, and finding purpose in your existence. Next, spiritual intelligence is the attitude of self-awareness as well as our relationship with God, with each other, and with all creature. So it is about knowing yourself in building meaningful, compassionate connection with everything around you, especially relationship with God. Next, spiritual intelligence means finding a meaning for life and avoiding unnecessary events, which means spending time for transcendental goals regardless of the views of others. It is about identifying what truly matters to you, setting meaningful goals that align with your spiritual values, and pursuing them without being overly concerned about what others think. For example, we have practicing forgiveness. A person who has been deeply hurt by someone chooses to forgive that person, releasing feelings of anger and resentment. In this example, is spiritual intelligence demonstrates by transforming a negative experience into an opportunity for spiritual growth, practicing compassion and finding inner peace. Next, finding purpose in suffering. For example, a person who is diagnosed with a serious illness uses the experience to deepen their understanding of life, connect with others, and make a positive impact on the world. In this example, spiritual intelligence is by finding meaning in suffering, using the experience to connect with others, and making a positive impact on the world, transforming adversity into an opportunity for growth and service.
Spirituality, Liebert and Reiter, and D. define spirituality as the ongoing, transformational experience of intentional, conscious engagement with the presence of God. This engagement with divine presence can be seen to involve three dynamics: nurturing or preparing for interaction with the presence of God. This means creating the time and space to meet with God, like setting aside time each morning for quiet reflection. The effective human experience of interaction with presence of God, this is the feeling of peace, conviction, or joy we experience when we actually interact with God. And intentionally responding to that presence, this is putting your faith into action, letting that encounter change how you live and serve others. Nature of our spiritual life. Henry Nouwen believed that the nature of our spiritual life consists of a life apart in solitude with God, communion, which means deepening our personal connection through prayer and quiet time. A life shared in community with God's people, which means the support and challenge we get from being part of our spiritual community. And a life given in ministry to others, commission, means serving others and putting our beliefs into practice in the world. Ways of living in the Spirit. Henry Nouwen presents three ways to life in the Spirit: flee, be silent, and pray. These are the three fundamental habits that form the solid foundation of our spiritual life. Nouwen views all three as integrated and fundamental habits of the heart that represents a unified pathway to a heart-centered spiritual life. Solitude, silence, and prayer taken together as a spiritual package are for Nouwen what essentially constitute the solid foundation of our spiritual life in God. Flee or solitude, fleeing the noise and demands to create space. Think of it as taking a quiet walk or sitting in an empty room to tune into God. Be silent or silence, turning down the noise inside your head, the constant worries and thoughts so you can truly listen. Pray or prayer, the active conversation with God that happens once you are solitary and silent.
Hi everyone, I'm the third reporter. Now let's proceed. So, prayer, the discipline of daily faithful communion with the beloved, is a foundation of the spiritual life underneath all we do, say, and create. Prayer represents the true essence of being one with God. Communion is all about being in union with God in prayer. Prayer, according to Nguyen, is the bread of human existence and occupies the very center of our spiritual life. It is what Jesus refers to us, the only necessary thing living with God, here and now. Only through prayer can we become intimately connected with Jesus and find the strength to join Him on His way. No one believes that a life lived in connection with Christ should be our first and overriding concerns for our spiritual health and well-being. Now let's proceed to solitude. The more we allow room for solitude in our hectic lives, the more our sense of connectedness with God depends. So, without solitude, it is virtually impossible to live a spiritual life. This is because the practice of solitude centers us in our own hearts and enables us to be securely rooted in personal intimacy with the source of life. And now let's proceed to solitude and silence. Solitude and silence are the context within which prayer is practiced. Solitude invites silence. True silence has to do with the notion of rest of body and mind, in which we become available for Him whose heart is greater than ours. Silence is the way to make solitude a reality, in that it completes the intensifies the whole experience. Silence is solitude practice in action, an indispensable discipline in the spiritual life. Without silence, the spirit will die in us, and the creative energy of our life will float away, the leave us alone, cold and tired. Without silence, we lose our center and become the victim of the many who constantly demand our attention. And the last one is silence and prayer. Prayer represents the breath of our life, permeating all aspects of our lives. It is the unceasing recognition that God is wherever we are, always inviting us to come closer and to celebrate the divine gift of being alive. All ended is prayer. So prayer is first of all entering into communion with God and God's people. Through living in this kind of unceasing communion, we are enabled to see and proclaim the rightful order of things, the divine order, and live in the very heart of God, a heart of justice, peace, and righteousness.
So, hello everyone. I am Amy Rose Samalali, and we're going to discuss the topic inward presence. So, we are distracted people immersed in a noisy world. It is hard to see or hear anything with clarity and be present to oneself with all static we are subjected to day in and day out. An even more challenging task than ridding ourselves of exterior noises is the achievement of what Henry Nouwen refers to as inner silence, a silence of heart. So this is about being truly present to yourself. Our world is full of distractions like social media, noise, busyness, making it difficult to focus inwardly. Inward presence means calming the inner noise so you can connect with your heart, thoughts, and deeper self. So inward presence allows you to gain clarity, self-awareness, peace, and strength. It is the foundation of mindfulness and inner growth. The next one is outward presence. Presence in an outward sense means being with two and for the other in an attentive way. Cultivation of this type of presence requires what we learn how to be hospitable, sole host to other people, strangers, non-strangers alike. So when we say outward presence, this refers to being fully attentive and present with others. It is not just being physically being with someone, but giving them your time, listening deeply and valuing them. So outward presence requires compassion, empathy, and attentiveness, what the text calls becoming a soul host. That means welcoming others, whether they are family, friends, or even strangers, in a way that makes them feel seen and respected. So, outward presence builds genuine relationships, fosters kindness, and creates a sense of belonging for others. So, in connection between the two, inward presence feeds outward presence. If you don't learn to calm your inner noise, it's hard to give genuine attention to others. Once you cultivate inner silence, you can show up fully for people around you.
So, good day everybody. This is the continuation of the lesson 2, which is deepening one's spirituality. So, I'll be discussing the Godward presence. So, the final kind of attentive presence is directed to the divine presence. In inward presence is practiced via solitude or being alone or isolated. And outward presence via hospitality. Godward presence is practiced through the avenue of prayer. Specifically, communing prayer, perhaps the highest form of prayer, which focuses immediately on our union with God. So, Godward presence is through prayer. We can communicate God through prayer, and it immediately union with God. So, the only way we can communicate with God is through prayers, no? So, next is the spirituality of the teacher. The teachers who are the mostly deeply influenced and inspired students were not necessarily the most brilliant or creative. Rather, they were the ones who might even call saintly. The ones who presented the genuine warmth and caring he or she took as an indication of a healthy spiritual life. So, as a teacher, it naturally grows in the heart the warmth and caring attitude or character not only towards to the learners or the students or the pupils, but as well as to the other people. So next and last, the teaching spirituality. So spirituality rather. So is it important in to teach spirituality? Yes, is it important? So here, spirituality is essentially a self-implication discipline. Teaching spirituality is a process of conveying to another a lifestyle, a character, a shaping of a soul. It is more a process of nurturing information than delivering information. So being spirituality or having spirituality is very essential. So here it is stated here that changes our character. It shapes our soul and changing us to another lifestyle. So being spiritual, living in spirituality is very important. It has a vital role in our lives. So I hope you have learned something and you fully understand the lesson to which is deepening one's spirituality. And if you have any questions, kindly ask in our GC or our members of our group. So thank you for listening and thank you.